Who says you can't? You do. Part 4. System of Achievement. Take instant charge. It had long come to my attention that people of accomplishment rarely sat back and let things happen to them. They went out and happened to things. We have all achieved something in our life, regardless of how small we might think it is. There are times when things seem hard, almost unbearable, until we finally overcome them. Achievement is when we accomplish something in our life, whether it is having the courage to overcome a situation, the attainment of personal goals, a heroic act, or putting extra effort into a task. All achievements, from the greatest to the smallest, will play a major role in what you set out to achieve next. Raising a child, providing the essentials for your family, getting a relationship back on track, or overcoming one that wasn't working are all achievements. Whatever we achieve in life, the process is quite systematic. We get a vision of what we want, passion builds up, we align ourselves with fear, consistently think of how it can be achieved, work out our action plan, and follow it. Regardless of whether you have taken notice of this or not, it's usually the way it happens. Achievement never dropped out of the sky and knocked on your front door with a bunch of roses. You had to go and get it. And just because you may have achieved something, it doesn't mean you are ultimately fulfilled. I couldn't count how many times I have heard of someone achieving something great, yet a month down the track they are empty because they don't know what to do next. I've met multimillionaires who are some of the unhappiest people I know. They exclusively went for the money, only to find that is not a passion but rather an attempt to find lasting happiness in a material way. That sent them to another dead end. I'm sure we have all heard stories of very wealthy people ending up as drug addicts or committing suicide, while others with very little material wealth are the happiest people alive. They are all great achievers, as that word, achievement, is personalized to individuals' desires. However, it is only achievement and fulfillment together that brands someone truly successful. We must learn how to gain them both, and that's what I have dedicated my life to finding. I have worked tenaciously to unravel the powers that allow us to shape our destiny on our conditions. The following knowledge and strategies steered me toward true success in no time. Dreaming is not enough. You have to go a step further and use your imagination to visualize, with intent. Forget everything you've been taught and believe it will happen just as you imagined it. That is the secret. That is the mystery of life. In order for us to live to our full potential, we must embrace the dream visions that flash before us. Most people I know will use this powerful tool to feel worse in their daily lives. They envision that dream body, that nice car, or that big house and immediately begin to get angry or beat themselves up for not having it now. I think the reason is their disbelief that they are actually able to attain their dreams. It is absolutely crucial to focus on the great emotions of such visions, because that's what inspires us to action. Going on a vacation is a perfect example. We visualize being on the vacation way before most of our preparations are even organized. We build emotion around it, and that is what inspires us to action. The reality is that if we don't create absolutely compelling visions of what we want out of life, they will never come into existence. We must understand that a dream and a vision are two different things. The word dream gets thrown around like a fairy tale. It's regarded as something that is not real, cannot be worked toward, and has no ground for creation. Everything that has come into existence was the result of someone's vision. I think it's also clear that we will be hurting ourselves in the process, and I know that from personal experience. If we don't have visions of what we want to achieve in our life, how are we ever going to bring them about? We won't know where to start. We'll resort to things that never fulfill us, and we'll live our life in the desperate rage of just hoping something will change. You might be sitting there thinking that you don't know exactly what you want in life. I've had this discussion with many people, especially young people, but we must think deeper. Is it that we really don't know? Or is it that we don't believe we can achieve the things we dream about? The people that never achieve much are those who wait for things to happen on the outside to help make their visions become clearer. What they are unaware of is that they must create a vision first, of anything at all, and that makes everything on the outside align and assist its accomplishment. You rarely get it straight away, but it will come if you hold it close to your heart and firmly in your mind. Then there is the balance of action you must take, but all successful people know that everything starts with a compelling vision. Good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion. That vision of a special person in your life, that Ferrari, that house by the water, that increased paycheck at the end of the month, that good relationship with your family, being free from drugs or an addiction, these are just a few goals. Visions don't necessarily revolve around money. Rather, they focus on abundance in our whole life. The more clarity you have about what you want, the more you're willing to work for it. Most people seem to use broad terms such as, I want more money, I want someone in my life, I want to own my own business, or I want to be more successful, unaware that they might get them, but only in the broad terms in which they ask. For example, you might say you want to share your life with someone and then fall in love with someone who isn't right for you. It's because you didn't have a clear indication and vision of what that person would be like. Their traits, their qualities, and the things you must have in a partner weren't clear to you at the beginning. We just end up settling for the same old things when we do this. The same goes for when we make an extra $20 for 2 weeks' work and then we complain. You asked for more money, didn't you? In order to get exactly what you want, you need to be absolutely clear about what it is. Your past is important, but it is not nearly as important to your present as the way you see your future is. Creating visions also calls for common sense, as we know things might not happen exactly the way they first appeared in our mental image. Accept the imperfections in life, because things are unstable, impermanent, and naturally subject to change. This may also be caused by our mere inability to ever see perfection. I mean, if you meet someone and they don't have the size 8 foot you imagined, I would probably suggest putting down the judgment sword. It's like when you plan a trip away and you are visualizing lying on the beach. You envision how the hotel room might look and the beauty that surrounds the place. When you get there, it's not exactly what you imagined, but you still appreciate it for what it is, sometimes even more. Look at the true essence of the creation and the passion from which it stemmed. Paintings are not looked at as perfect, but those who understand them are able to see the passion of the painter within them. That's how you can bridge the gap between your dream and reality. Appreciation. Allow room for error, but never allow room for giving up on those things that you know you must have. You know what you want. Or do you? Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs are people who have come alive. Sitting down in a small cafe one evening with a close friend, I overheard 2 young guys discussing how they didn't know what they wanted in their lives. I know it's not very polite to eavesdrop, but in a place where tables were almost connected, I felt as if I was meant to be there. I politely asked if I could interrupt. My friend was kicking me under the table because she was embarrassed, but I couldn't leave after hearing these guys' distress, knowing I could help. I asked them, if I said to you that you could have the woman of your dreams right now, would you take her? They laughed and said, yeah, for sure. I then asked, if I were to offer them a mansion with a Lamborghini parked out front, would they take it? Again, the answer was yes. Then I asked, if they could wake up every morning feeling great with an inspiring outlook on life, contribute to the world, have a fit body, and be in a position where they were in charge of their emotions, would they embrace such a life? One guy turned to me and said, did you just win the lottery and now you're feeling generous? I laughed and replied, no, I'm proving that you know exactly what you want, you just don't think you can get it. This is one of the major challenges I see in society today. Most people know what they want. They just believe it's out of their reach. It's then easier to say they don't know as an excuse to escape with some dignity. However, if you are someone who is certain about not knowing what you want, which is the position I found myself in many times, then you might not have a deep understanding of yourself yet. How can we ever really know what we want if we don't fully know who we are? How will we know our powers? How will we ever be able to build a trusting relationship with ourselves? Most hide who they are every day until they are confused and doubt their true ability. If you know who you are, you will know what you want. You are able to identify your passion and live a life that reminds you to be conscious of every action you take. It is also imperative that what you want doesn't conflict with who you are. Exploring yourself, nurturing your everyday life, and feeding who you really are is the basis of finding out exactly what you want. The more you stress and worry about not knowing, the cloudier your true identity. You must have faith that when you make changes in everyday life, regardless of how small the changes might seem, your truth is going to display itself. As I mentioned, I didn't have a clear indication of what my passion in life was. I just knew I loved to help people. The last thing I thought I would become was an author. To be honest, in the beginning of my change, All I wanted to do was alter what I was doing in the present. It worked quite well, because instead of fogging my mind with what I thought I wanted, I decided to change what I was doing, which built the belief that I could achieve anything. I needed to rectify the concept of feeling, acting, and creating of my own accord. That allowed me to recognize that it could be done in any area of my life. We must also be aware of conflicting beliefs and the influence they have on our decision-making. If your appreciation list states that you are very grateful for your family, then I'm guessing they are important in your life. If you wanted to open up a brothel, that could be a conflicting belief. Ultimately, the choices you make are up to you, but it calls for some deep thinking. Go back to Absolute Power of Questioning, page 3, where I invited you to notice those great qualities within you. You will realize that your choices should be in line with who you really are and how they could benefit the things most important to you. This may also be the reason why you have changed your mind so many times, as you will always adapt pleasure and pain to a particular want. We are emotional creatures, so the feeling that you get from something you want is compelling. Always go for the feeling, because that's the pinnacle of your desire. Create massive purpose with everything you do. It doesn't matter what you do if you don't do what matters. If you do what matters, it doesn't matter what you do. There are so many people who use the excuse of having to or needing to do something in their life. I would like to point out that you never have to do anything, and needing gets thrown out most times as well. We complain about our cars, our jobs, and the people in our life. If you are continually complaining about how crappy your car is, then why don't you get a baseball bat and smash it to pieces? No one is stopping you. You don't have to keep it, and you definitely don't need it. I'm sure the bus or other transportation can take you around. If you don't like a person in your life, it's your choice to stick around. If you find yourself always complaining about your job, get up now and tell your boss how much the company stinks. Let him or her know that you are picking up your things and leaving. Come on, you only live once, so go do it. You don't want that car, that friend, that job, remember? If you are wondering whether I'm serious, you bet I am. But are you? If you are saying to yourself, I'm not going to smash my car or say that to my boss, why not? When you answer the why not, you will realize it's because you actually want to be there more than you don't want to be there, or else you would have already done something about it. Your complaining is creating your own disaster. What about doing chores around the house? Doing the dishes or mopping the floor is something that people believe they have to do or need to do. The answer again is, no, you don't. You can quite easily walk around with grime seeping through the floor or eat off a plate that has crumbs left over from last week. If you get my point, all these things are wants. You want to keep the car because you don't want to walk everywhere you go. The reason you won't say that to your boss is because you want money. You want to wash the dishes because you don't want to get infected with bacteria. Even if someone held a gun to your head and asked you to do something, it's still a choice to obey or not, right? The solution to your complaints: stop whining and take massive action. A while back, I had a friend call me up to complain about helping her sister and nephew move into a new place. She had no sleep, was drained, and was acting like she was giving something up by helping. I asked her, "Do you have to do it?" She answered, "Yes, because who else is going to?" I quickly reminded her that she didn't have to do anything and could have slept all day knowing that her sister would do it on her own. Then she replied, "No, I wouldn't let her do it on her own." Laughing to myself, I said, "Well, that means you actually want to do it because you recognize it's a great thing to do. The fact that you're doing it means that you want to more than you don't want to. Stop complaining and be proud of yourself." She called me back an hour later and said, "You know what? I feel really good about what I just did for my sister." When you create meaning with everything you do, it gives you the drive to go that extra mile that no one else is willing to go. Successful people don't just do something, they acknowledge why they are doing it. People ask me, what is the purpose of life? But I think the question should be, what isn't the purpose of life? Everything in life has its purpose. When you start acknowledging that you want to do things, it increases purpose. Creating purpose in your life is by far the #1 way to create self-motivation. You are far more willing to do things that you want to do rather than things you feel that you have to do. Turn your have to into want to by giving enough great reasons why you are doing something in the first place. This also increases your appreciation. If you find that it's not actually something you want to do, then also acknowledge that you never have to. Once you grasp that everything you do in life is a choice, there is no room to play the victim. If you choose to do it, Do yourself a favor and stop dwelling on what's wrong about the experience. Shift your focus to why you want to or the compelling visions that you're about to write down. How to unleash a smothered passion and allow it to drive your life. Reduce your plan to writing. The moment you complete this, you will have definitely given concrete form to the intangible desire. Task This is the third section of your appreciation list that I mentioned before. You must add this to your list to complete it. 3. Wants. This is the part where you are to put all limitations aside and write continuously. Write down everything you have dreamed of having and be creative. Give thanks for the things you want in life and do not hold back at all. I don't care how big or how small, you must write it. Be as specific as you can because clarity brings forth courage. If you want more money, then how much do you want? Do you want $10,000, $100,000, or $10 million? When your visions become too vague, you will never hit your target. When you're not clear about the result you want, you don't result in getting anything. Most people aren't specific about what they want because they fear the feeling of failure if they never get it. But why worry in advance? I have discovered that in order to create an extraordinary life, we must raise the bar so high that it scares us. Only by raising our standards do we give ourselves the opportunity to step up to such a level. Besides the fear aspect, most find it easier to wishfully think that what they want will just appear. What these people must realize is that the reason they will never get what they want is actually their reluctance to create more clarity in the first place. When in pursuit of what you want in life, there are two things you must have in order to get it: clarity and enough emotional charge. Without either or both, you don't stand a chance. Clarity helps create that emotional charge. I hear so many people tell me that if they meet that special person, they will make changes, or if they had more money, they would then decide what they wanted to buy. I am quick to remind them that if they aren't clear on what that person is like, they won't be able to make the appropriate changes to their life that will invite in that special person. And as far as the money theory goes, it's actually the complete opposite. By having a clear indication of what you want initially, it forces you to produce more emotional charge, which will ensure you create the money you need. You must be specific with what you want first. Creating clarity is not wishful thinking. It makes what you want more real. And when something is more real, you believe it more. When you believe it more, you take action. The only way we can accomplish beyond our known limits is by frequently raising our standards. There is one point you should take note of. Make sure you don't drive yourself crazy filling in all the minor details, like your business having electric doors instead of manual ones. Just write down the bigger picture, and you will end up filling in the details as you progress. By staying conscious of the bigger picture, you are reminded of why you are taking all the small steps now. All exceptional achievers reached a point in their life where they stopped dwelling on not having their wants and forcefully brought forth emotions as if they already did. You must celebrate your success now. Imagine and create the same feelings you would have if you already had all those things you want. If you do this, it allows you to experience the powerful emotions that master your willingness to act, and your goals will draw closer. Unless you build the belief by consuming yourself with what you want, you will never get it. You can't get to a place that you don't believe exists. Go for it right now. Again, you must not read on until you have completed this task. Get out your appreciation list and start writing. Stay away from writing down what you don't want. Focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. An example in the financial section would be, I want to own a condo in Miami with a swimming pool on the balcony, and not, I don't want to live in the one-bedroom apartment that I am currently living in. To make it easier, create sections or a table such as, note, this list is subject to change. It will evolve over time, but you must have a starting point initially. Think hard and dream big. Make sure you always begin with I want. At the end of reading my list, I would close my eyes, get into a state of focus, and repeat. Thank you for giving me everything I ever wanted, financially, physically, mentally, and emotionally. For everything I ever desired and have. Thank you, God, for being one with the qualities that reign within me and giving me the gifts to obtain and attain anything I desire. Focus on your wants when you wake up. Carry that energy throughout your day, and you will see the path begin to light up for you. Write down any progress or ideas that flow. Do not read on until you have completed this crucial task for your personal growth. Creating purpose and enough emotional charge. In order to be successful, you must have purpose. In Napoleon Hill's masterpiece Think and Grow Rich, he presented the idea of a definite major purpose as a challenge to his readers to ask themselves, in what do I truly believe? According to Hill, 98% of people had few or no firm beliefs. This alone put true success firmly out of their reach. His journey also consisted of researching and interviewing 500 of the most successful people in the world at the time. Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, Henry Ford, F. W. Woolworth, John D. Rockefeller, William Wrigley Jr., and Franklin Delano Roosevelt were only a few. These highly successful people displayed definite patterns in their attitudes. But at that time, which was not so different from our era, most people had serious misconceptions of the qualities that brought them success. Negative emotions such as fear, selfishness, and resentment were the sources of failure. This came as a big shock to most. The opposites of these attributes were found to be some of the secrets to success, but it was said that everyone must discover this on their own and thus gain the knowledge to really influence their lives. In my experience, achievers who think that winning means they have to be arrogant and heartless in the process actually lose more than they gain. They may have gained money, but they lost everything else, including themselves. There is a way of gaining what you want while staying true to yourself, and that's what real success consists of. Your worth consists in what you are and not what you have. Look at your wants list and note as many reasons as you can why you want what you want. Write down why you must have them and why you will not settle for less. If you do not have a clear understanding of why you want what you want, then you will not enhance the emotions that create the certainty to obtain them. Passion builds up. It is not something that you just find at its peak. This exercise is crucial for assigning passion to your desires. Stay away from writing what you don't want. These next sets of questions also create an enormous amount of emotional charge. Focus on each one individually for a few minutes and write down the answers. How would it make me feel if I didn't get what I wanted in my life? What would I think about myself? How would my body language be? What are the emotions I would experience on a daily basis? Are some of the answers to these questions things I am doing now? If you are acting in the same way you would if you never got what you wanted, how on earth do you expect to get anything? Now, how would it make me feel if I did get what I wanted? How would I hold my body? What would my body language be like? What would my shoulders, facial expressions, and attitude be like? Throughout my day, how can I produce the same emotions I would get when I attain what I want? How would I have to think, talk, and walk? Must I allocate time to really think about these accomplishments and continually embrace the emotions? How can I create rapid change from the answers I have obtained from these questions? What can I do differently? What are the different emotions I need to start commanding?